The knight nods in agreement. Yes, I suppose that would be the best. It doesn't take long for the two of you to load the unconscious bandit onto the cart. When the knight tells the innkeeper the situation, she's more than happy to keep an eye on the prisoner. You all exchange farewells as you go your own way, following the pull from the court wizard's magical orb. You still have a job to do after all. It doesn't take long for the pull of the wizard's device to take you off the road and into the forest. Your boots sink into the ground and you soon find yourself up to your ankles in mud, dead leaves, and bitter cold snow melt. The world gets darker as you probe deeper into the heart of the forest. The tangled bones of the underbrush pick at your trousers and boots, and the trees become more tangled, their trunk thicker and more ancient, their distant limbs casting patterns of shadows on the muddy, wet forest floor. The pull grows stronger still. You must be close now, but ahead you hear nothing that stops you in your track. Oh, but ahead you hear something that stops you in your tracks. Footsteps, lots of them. I'm moving closer, I want to see who it is, or I stay back and wait for the footsteps to subside. I stay back. You wait in the underbrush as the sounds of footsteps grow closer. Your breathing grows harder and your heartbeat pounds against your chest. Then, the sounds begin to recede. You take a moment to calm yourself and continue onwards. For the next hour, you press on deeper into the forest. Worryingly, the wizard's device seems to be pulling you in the direction the footsteps were going. The thought of running into who knows how many possible enemies is enough to keep you moving slowly and cautiously to make as little noise as possible. Ahead, you spot a massive tree, its trunk easily big enough to encompass a small house. The orb pulls savagely now, as if the thing that it was designed to find is just beyond. You move up to the tree to look around, and your heart all but stops. Not 20 paces in front of you is the edge of a clearing, and at its center, like a great coin punched into a dirt, sits a vast, worn circle of smooth, perfectly proportioned stone. The device pulls right towards it. This cannot be anything but the ruin Izan told you to seek out. At the edges of the circle stand 4 equidistant pillars, each stretching high into the sky, almost as high as the branched tangle of the forest's upper canopy. Each one is cracked and weathered, but all stand tall. However, the ruins are not what makes your breath catch in your throat. As ancient and majestic as they are no match for what is within them, a sight to make your blood run cold. For within that worn stone circle's boundaries stands another circle, this one of wood and fieldstone, stacked and lashed together to the height of a tall adult. Within the second circle stand row upon row of rough tents, darkened fire pits, stands of arms, and dozens of armed figures clad all in black. It seems the ruins you must find and the stronghold of the black-clad bandits are one and the same. Yep. Who is surprised? I am not surprised. Charging into the midst of the camp to collect the sample the court wizard needs would obviously be suicidal, but surely there should be some other way in. All you need to do after all is get close enough to chip off a bit of the stone. You could try employing stealth. The underbrush extends to within 10 paces of the fallen court ruin itself, though the real trick would be keeping yourself hidden long enough to find and pry away a sample. Alternatively, you could ambush one of the bandits as he or she comes out, perhaps to relieve themselves. Then you could take their clothing and simply walk in. That might work as long as you can make a convincing show of it. You must also consider that you now know the location of the bandit camp. Is it really worth taking the risk to finish this job when you have the information that could save the city? Maybe it would be best if you hedged your bets and returned to Kendrickstone. So what do you do? Okay, this one is really what I should think about. This one. The stealth? Not really. We could basically disguise ourselves as one of the bandits or head back to Kendrickstone. Now, oh man, this is a tough one. I don't want to fuck this one up. Disguising myself as one of the bandits would be probably the best. Oh god, I don't want to fuck this one up. They will murder me if they catch me. Huh. But you know what, let's risk it. You make up your mind, but before you can move, something strange happens. The ruin in front of you begins to glow. Not the even, luminescent glow that you're used to, but more a glimmer, like you feel in the sunlight. The light grows until the forest around you is bathed in the unmistakable blue nimbus of magic. At the center of it all stands a man in a black robe, his face like the pale shadow of a skull, and his arms raised high and radiant with the nimbus of sorcery. You remember him, the one you saw 3 months ago on that night on Kendrickstone's docks, the one they had called Lord Milius, the disgraced and exiled former court wizard of Kendrickstone. The bandits crouch and curl up like bacon shriveling on a hot pan. They cover their faces as the light grows brighter and brighter. Soon the light is too bright for you to look at too. You avert your eyes for a moment. When you look back, the bandit camp and all within it are gone, as if swept from the smooth floor of the stone circle. Yep, teleportation. With the bandit camp mysteriously gone, your task becomes a trivial one. All you have to do is walk up to the ruined stone circle and chip off a piece. You hammer at a crack in the ruin with the pommel of your knife. Silvery blue veins flare bright across the stone every time you strike it, but even with its magical properties, you need only a few moments to chip away a piece the size of your thumb. At first, you wonder how you're ever going to find your way back to Kendrickstone through the thick underbrush and tangled forest paths, but it seems the court wizard planned for that eventuality. The second you pick up the piece of stone you've prized away from the ruin, the pull on the wizard's tracking orb slackens and dies, and then picks up again in the opposite direction. Even so guided, it takes you most of the rest of the day to pick your way through the forest. It's slow going, and only luck keeps you from being accosted by wild animals, or worse, more bandits, as you make your way back, following the orb's ever stronger pull. The sun is low in the sky by the time you finally escape the forest into a clear ground. The road that took you into the forest in the morning is barely a few hundred paces away from where you emerge. From there, it's only a few minutes walk back into the gates. Achievement unlock, a magical place. Let's see what it says. Oh, come on. You fulfilled Izan of Corellandis' request. Cool. When you ascend up on the flying platform on the top of Kendrickstone's Wizard Tower, you find Izan waiting for you, his eyes intent, alert and focused. Evidently, he used your jaunt into the forest as an excuse to get some sleep. Do you have it? He asks, his voice expectant. You reach into your belt pouch and pull out the small piece of stone you retrieved earlier that day. The wizard plucks it from your hand with barely restrained eagerness. His eyes narrow in scrutiny as he brings it up for a closer look. Yes, yes, very good, he mutters to himself, and then turns to you. This is an excellent sample, boy. I trust it was not too much trouble to acquire? No trouble worth mentioning. There wasn't anything I couldn't handle, or I ran into a bandit attack. Let's tell him the truth. The wizard's eyes narrow again, and this time focused on you. What did you do when faced with these bandits? His tone suddenly seems like that of an inquisitor. I fought them, of course, you reply. The wizard shakes his head. Foolishness, he replies. To risk yourself fighting a few bandits when your death could have meant failure for my plan to end the bandit threat for good? Absolutely folly. The wizard moves on with barely even the space of a breath. You had no other trouble beyond that, I trust? You shake your head. No, but you relate what you saw at the stone ruin. As soon as you mention the bandit camp, the court wizard's eyes go wide. His sorcerer's legs scuttle backwards, knocking over stacks of papers and books. Hurriedly, Isan grabs a half-empty notebook, a pen, and an ink pot from his desk. Start again from the beginning, he demands, his voice suddenly razor sharp. Tell me everything. For the next half an hour, the wizard writes furiously as you relate to him what happened when you encountered the bandit camp within the flowering court ruin. He stops you almost every other sentence to ask questions, ranging from the obvious to the absolutely nonsensical. You understand why Isan would want to know how many tents and people were inside the camp and how long the spell used to make them vanish took to cast. But why would he care about the absence of underbrush around the circle or the lack of leaves on the trees? Finally, the court wizard seems satisfied with your account. He stoppers his ink pot, sets his pen down, and puts his notebook away. I will need to report this to the Duke personally, but that can wait. First, I must see you compensated. Isan pulls out a strong box from under his desk. I can offer you gold if you wish. I also have a set of enchanted rings from my collection, each able to make you more skilled or powerful. I would be happy to offer you one. The wizard pauses in thought for a moment, stroking his beard. Perhaps, he continues, it is not wealth or magical items you wish, but recognition for your deeds. I could certainly put in a good word for you in my report to His Grace, if you wish. I'll take the gold. I'll take one of the magic rings. The wizard smiles. A wise choice, I think. He moves to a small cabinet at the side of the room, almost hidden behind a stack of papers around it. He pulls a key from a compartment in the side of his legged chair and opens up a drawer. When he returns to you, he holds in his hand a case of polished red wood, closed with a lid of glass etched in steel. Isan undoes the latch and opens the box. Sitting inside, you see 4 rings sitting on a bed of black velvet. These are the rings of which I spoke, Isan explains. They should fit you well enough. He points to one of the rings. This one is a ring of the warrior. The others are, he points to the rest in turn, the rings of the scholar, the ring of the hunter, and the ring of the envoy. You may take one. Which one will you take? The ring of the warrior, of course. Achievement unlocked. Fighter. You've become a skilled warrior. 7. Exceptional. 7 plus 1 actually. You pick up the ring of the warrior from the case and slip it onto your finger. Immediately, you feel your body grow more toned, as if you were a spring, suddenly cold tiger. Your limbs feel tougher, more corded with muscle, even though you know nothing has changed outwardly. Your chest swells, and you even seem to stand straighter and more steadily. See, Isan says, the ring fits you well. Achievement unlocked. Honor and Steel. The wizard lets you savor your reward for only a few moments, before returning to his customary manner. Now, he says, as a matter of factly as ever, I will require silence and solitude. I am sure your knightly mistress awaits your return to the keep. Best you get going. Achievement unlocked. Honor and Steel. You have proven your loyalty to Dame Mildred. Oh, nice! 80%. That's a dismissal, if you've ever heard one. So you step back onto the platform that will take you down to the exit and leave the wizard to his work. Dame Mildred is waiting for you when you arrive back at the keep, still in her armor. Sir Edmund has already returned when I returned to the city, she says as you walk through the gates. He tells me you were the one that found him, that saved him, and a family of refugees from a bandit ambush. Your knightly mistress smiles. Zygmunt, when I sent you out, part of me worried that I was sending you out to die. A part of me wanted to turn around, go after you, and tell you to just go back to the city, but she breathes more heavily than you've ever seen her breathe, even in battle. But every time, I drove those things out. You were brave enough, skilled enough, and loyal enough. I told myself that if you ran into trouble, you'd be able to handle yourself as well as any knight would. The knight pauses again, then steps forward and pulls you into a hug, tight enough for you to feel the rings of her mail press cold against your skin. "Thank you for proving me right," she says as she steps back. You see something sparkle in her eyes as she turns away. Tears it must be. But Mildred of Son Mercy does not cry. After you deliver a brief report, you head down to the guardroom for a much-needed meal. Over your shoulder, you can hear the hushed voices of the other squires and servants, and some of the knights too. Some of them are talking about Sir Edmund, how he went herring off on a foolhardy scheme to fight the bandits himself, only to return not only with his own hide and a cartload of travellers rescued from a bandit ambush, but a live bandit prisoner as well. The rest are talking about someone entirely different. As the story went from the man himself, Sir Edmund had been hard-pressed by a large force of brigands. Indeed, he would have perished in the battle were it not for the heroic actions of a young adventurer who came to the stricken knight's aid and saved his life. You. By morning, you have no doubt that every guard and knight in the keep will know the story. By the end of the week, the whole city will. Until then, though, with your limbs aching and your belly full, you have no other thought but your bed. It's been a long day, and with both spring and the city's doom under the bandits' stranglehold soon at hand, you have no doubt there will be longer days to come. Oh, that concludes chapter 6. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I did very much. Rumors and tales of your exploits are common topics in Kendrickstone's alehouses. We got prowess 7 now. We got loyalty 80%, compassion 69, order 74. We got 361 silver pennies, a sling, a hardened leather vest reinforced with steel plates, and a set of steel plate gauntlets. So I'm happy about that, and I'll join you with more Hero of Kendrickstone soon.